for that one.
I got-
All right. Rod, so we're okay for recording, right?
It just started.
And in a few minutes, I'm gonna ask you to let me share my screen because I have a couple of things.
I've just
to do.
made you co-host, Dave.
Oh, you did? Okay, excellent. All right, gentlemen. Well, I'm not
Rod's
disturbing
still
your
having
dinner.
his lunch, eh?
You guys eating your dinner. Okay.
Excuse me,
Dinner.
it's 7
Dinner.
o'clock here in London, man. I just got
Dinner.
enough.
Okay.
We have a lot to cover today, okay? Most of it's good stuff, so I'm gonna start right in it. I told Leland yesterday I'm making a minor switch. Instead of item 1, I'm going straight to item 2, okay? We're gonna talk about item 1 under 5. So I'm going straight into 2, which is a general update, okay? All right, first of all, and by the way, Roger, thank you very much for your comments. So the constitution, the application for the nonprofit is ready to go, okay? I will be submitting that probably Monday or Tuesday next week. I think it takes probably 6 weeks to get back a response if they want any changes or updates or whatever, okay? But that's ready to go because we got enough input now for that to happen. Yeah, Raj, thanks a lot. Raj, it seems like you're doing some wordsmithing for me, so keep it up, okay? Question every single thing that I do. Because let me tell you something. Right now, my whole desk, my bookcase, everything is wallpapered with documents for this or operation, not just the organization. I'm doing so much research. And I'm the old-fashioned guy. A lot of the stuff I'm looking at, I want to print so I can go and read it again. You know what I'm saying? I don't like only looking at a screen. So I print a lot of this stuff off. All right, so that's what's happening. The first thing, we're now waiting for the final update on the Constitution from Lloyd Houston. Now, Kerry, who most of you know, we haven't introduced him yet because he's a different part of our operation, mostly to do with external stuff. However, he's playing a very important part, which I'll talk to you about in a few minutes. But Kerry and Lloyd are supposed to be finalizing the Constitution, okay? In a few minutes, I'm going to give you a little preliminary view of what the website not will eventually look like, but this is the beginning of the design process. It's been underway for months. It's been hanging fire because we're doing so many other things. And frankly, it's an expensive proposition unless we have a process, okay? The designer, I mean, designed for a whole bunch of different companies. So I'm going to give you a little look at it. I don't need feedback right now. I just want you to understand that the website is going to be our major catching point and interest-bearing stuff for everybody around the world. Students, mentors, the network, Guyana, everything, all right? Some of the words you're going to see now for the first time though, Dennis and Leland, are included in what we've already been discussing, but that is not going to last for very much longer because everything on the right side that you're going to see is for us to develop, change, and eventually the whole KBI program is going to be a separate set of pages. Get it? So don't look at it the point of view, well, where is KBI? This is just to give you a view of how this thing is going to unfold, I guess. So let me share my screen with you right now and give you an idea of just what it's going to look like, only for a couple of minutes. Let's go over here. Tell me if you can see the screen, okay? Can you see that?
Yep.
All right. So this is just a the flag has already disappeared. Okay, this is the beginning, what it will look like. Never mind, the globe is going to change. First of all, it's too big, it's a bunch of stuff. But I wanted to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. Up at the top, it's going to be links to all the associations. However, depending on how we have partnerships, maybe the partners are going to be up here and the associations will be at the end, okay? So I'm just going to very quickly go through this. We're not talking about this today, but Dennis and Leland, you'll probably recognize this. All right. And then here is where we're probably going to list our partners. And not only our partners, sorry, we're going to list our developers, right? Not who we are the founders for this whole operation, okay? So we have to have a background done, all right? And everything is going to be fluid. There's going to be a lot of movement. I'm trying to get some videos input as well on what's happening in Guyana right now. And you probably recognize this as well. This is the phase one. It's not in the mentorship. All of these are going to change based on what we're doing. Here is where Dennis and Leyland, and actually you guys should have seen too, this is like that level. I think it was slide 5, something in that area, where we have oil and gas, information technology, agriculture, healthcare, and then alternative energy. These are what you and I will be sorting out, all of us, over the next couple of weeks. Everything here is what we will develop. Now, this is not KDI yet. This is just to give the flavor of what's happening. When you see the final result, then we'll decide what comes where. That's the easiest part, but everything has to be developed, okay? Going to see the mentorship program. We'll have smaller images, okay? A lot of writing is going to be going in here. This is where now we're going to ask for mentors, I guess, all right? And there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff. If you click on learn more, the plan will be out there. Remember, this is not only to gather people in the network. When we go for our proposal for funding, this will be live. This will tell people why we're looking for the money and who are our partners, how much we're looking for, and what good stuff. At the end, and this is not the end of the website, it's the end of right now. All right, this is a whole different deal. I'll talk to you about that another time. Global Academic Network. All right, this is where, at this point, at the bottom, we will probably want to say join the network. And then the network, we're going to have like a survey if you want to be a mentor or you just want to be part of the network. Now, somebody I've talked to who actually helped me on Wine website said, Dave, tell me something. When you have your mentors deciding to join the network, please make sure their information is private. I never even understood that. They said a lot of folks may not want to just click on this and see everybody's background. I don't want to get into that today, but that's an important function. Okay, so we might need a password or something at the bottom, deciding if we want to be a mentor to get to that site, which will list mentors, you know, because we don't want to say 5 mentors for one particular genre, or maybe we will, but that is a privacy concern we have to worry about. All right, so that is just giving you a little idea of what's happening. As you can tell, it's black and yellow. Okay, so this is what we want to maintain throughout the site. Let me go back to the beginning. What I had initially done, and Dennis, you're going to remember this, this was to do with, well, where is Guyana? And you said you didn't need a map, a geography lesson. Well, unfortunately, everybody else will need a geography lesson. So I was trying initially to get the globe and then to stop, and then a map of Guyana to emerge. And I'll tell you why. I've been talking to people looking for, that we will be approaching for funding, and some of the people said, where is Guyana? Okay, and this website will give them the picture of where we're going. So this is not you and I, this is for people who are coming to the site, young people, social media, okay, all the different input from different organizations. All right, so that's all I have right now. I'm going to stop the screen share and go back to our stuff. That just to give you an idea of what's happening right now. Now that website will be live just prior to when we're doing the proposal, the funding and the budget, all right? Because one has to support the other, get it? Even though what you guys are working on in terms of the KDI with the written proposal is one side of it, the backup will be, by the way, look at our website. Here are the founders, because we're not going to write all that stuff in our written proposal. It'll be on the website. Now, I've looked at some proposals that have that information. At this stage, we're going to have to probably make a decision as to how that's going to evolve. All right. I mean, I'm not denying that it's a good thing if you want to see who the founders are, but really it's not about the founders. It's about the students, right? So part of this process is about showing about the school, the background, and unfortunately, of course, you remember the Forbes. Forbes is a scholar. I mean, he was all these different things to people. So sometimes it might not be good to say who are Guyanese emeritus or very popular and successful people. But I'm going to get into that in a couple of minutes. All right. Now, as I was saying just now, that was only the start of the website. Now, I've also started working on a budget, which will be important for the funding and the proposal. The two things have to go together. While you guys are working on a KBI, Dennis and Leland, and certainly with input from both Rod and Roger, I want to give you guys the ability to keep working on that while I do other things. I can't be doing almost everything and be involved in every aspect. They got to come back to me and say, here's where we are. Let's have another meeting. Okay. And you and Dennis have been doing great for the last couple of weeks, telling me, hey, let's have a meeting, whatever we're doing. Okay. Now, the second part of this update happened on Wednesday. And Rod, Carrie, and I had a really interesting conversation with Fareed Amin. And Dennis, make a note of this guy's name for me. Fareed Amin, Fareed Amin. Dennis, you're now my main research guy, okay? You need to take a look at Mr. Amin. Just to give you a little, for instance, he is actually the deputy minister for the government of Ontario, okay? Now that's his past. He's got a whole bunch of stuff behind his name, but he runs a company called Gan Oil and Gas Consultancy, all right? And he's a partner with the Alberta Gas Company as well. All right. By the way, I sold them a corporate airplane 20 years ago. Now, what he is, however, he's actually the CSR for ExxonMobil for North America and Canada. And that's corporate social responsibility, in case you were not familiar with the term. So he was really he gave us some very good information about our program that we're developing. He said it's something that's needed, something that's exactly what the country will need for the future. But he gave us some really good background. He said, you know something? I'm going to read something you got here. And Rod, correct me if I may, because I scribbled some notes here while we were talking.
I shall.
What he said was, we need to have local input. It's almost like if we need a local subsidiary in Guyana, okay? Because companies like Exxon will want to see that the money is spent locally and that the money actually or you have a bank account in Guyana. So that put me on the back foot in one sense, is when the conversation was over, I was going, whoa. So now we have to start looking now for people in Guyana who are going to be part of our board or part of a local subsidiary, I guess. Because Leland, as you probably remember, we don't want a situation where they get money down there and we don't know how it's being spent, just like what's happening with the association or ICQC or whatever. So he came up with a really important scenario there. And he also said something that I'm totally supportive of. He said, get some more women involved.
We'll get women, period. We don't have.
He said, all I'm seeing is a bunch of old men. Get some women involved. And he actually gave me a couple of names, but I've already been on top of that. And actually, that's going to come up on the section 5 because I want Dennis to do some work on that as well. All right. Now, I'm not really opening for comments just yet because I'm just going through my part of the agenda. Then we're going to do it. So I talked about the formation. Roger has agreed to be the treasurer initially until we have our first constituted meeting.
Yeah.
Rod, by the way, it is possible to have a Canadian director. I found that out recently, so long as they're not the president or vice president, okay, or the treasurer. In other words, you can have directors from just about anywhere. Like Rod could be a director, all right?
Okay.
So it's formulating a really interesting scenario. And from what I gathered from looking at Fareed's background, I'm seeing, mate, if we have people in the UK and people in Canada and operations in the US, we have got a really interesting international focus, almost like a diaspora, which I don't want to get into that word either. That's something that's something I really enjoy. All right, so that is part of my update. So before I turn you over to Dennis and Leland, just want to make sure I got all my facts. 2 tentative Okay, hold on, one last thing. At the meeting with Fareed and Exxon, I discussed the fact that we needed a proof of concept presentation, hopefully to be done before the end of the year. He liked that idea. The proof of concept, Leland, was to be the 5 people from, it's a proof of concept of the program. So I'm not sure you kind of winced. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
All right.
so far.
All right, we can talk about that later. All right, the small group of students. Now, the problem with that is right now.
A small group of students.
Sorry?
Students, you said, small group of students?
Yeah, it's a small group of students in college or wherever we're gonna, the presenter will be in North America and to a small group of students. Proof of concept. We have the process, the connectability, the laptops, the whole bit. Get it? We're just talking to a bunch of students about the presentation of career guidance.
Isn't
Alright.
it going to be, isn't it going to be in Guyana? You said in North America.
No, of course it's going to be in Guyana. The students will be in Guyana. The presentation will be made from here.
Right, but you were saying that it is making this presentation to a small groups, the small groups of students in North America. you
No,
said.
so, okay, maybe misconstrued. Okay. The student, everything will be done to the students in Guyana. There are no students anywhere else. Only the
Right.
students in Queens College. Now, the problem I've been running into, which hopefully we're starting to get resolved, is the connectivity in the school. While we were on the call, Rod, if you remember, we talked about a smart room. I think Carrie brought up
Yes.
smart
yeah.
room concept. I since have found a computer company in Guyana that actually produces computers. Now, never mind the computer itself. Guess who the name is? I don't know if any of you guys heard this name before. Kirsting.
Yes.
Anybody familiar with that
Yeah.
name?
Oh, yeah.
Kersting.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he was a classmate of mine. His son is running this company in Guyana. Okay, very easy to talk to. And unfortunately, I don't know if you noticed, but Michael Kirsten just had his second stroke just a week ago. So he's now in hospital somewhere in North York. And I've asked his son to give me a location so we can, send him some flowers or something. All right. So the proof of concept was pretty important because this leads us now, Rod, to a couple of names, which we're going to talk about on the 5, but you need to remember Mr. Freed, talked about INET.
Yeah. Hold
Now,
on.
when all my research in the last 2 days told me that INET is not almost non-functional.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, but you can check on that later. E-networks, this young man is saying to me, yes, e-networks is a pretty stable operation. And I have connection with that, and we'll talk again on section 5. All right. Next thing. All right, over to you guys now. The general update on KBI. You guys
Okay, okay. Myself and Dennis has come up with what we have been doing over the past few months.
Okay, you want me to share the slides, Leland?
No, not yet.
Okay,
After the presentation that you can share. Well, you know what? Yeah, just share this presentation
you could talk
because
about it.
I'm going to talk about the slides.
Right, okay, so let me get it up and you can look at it, right?
Right.
Hold on a second here. Okay,
Okay. What we have been doing is that we have been looking over the past, I suppose, number of weeks at a number of the slides that we have talked about and we have changed and that have been produced. And some of them are still in the process of making changes to. Could you go to your slide 2? This is where we're talking about the career guidance program and what career guidance is. And we're saying basically it's a program to connect Queens College students with Queens College alumni allowing them the opportunity to gain valuable experience and advice for career development from successful and experienced alumni. So that's what we are saying that the knowledge-based initiative is as far as career guidance is. You can ask me questions about this after the presentation. Slide number 3. This is what we're looking at as an organizational hierarchy with a global academic network at the top, the knowledge-based initiative, which is phase 1, which is the career guidance program, and phase 2 will be the mentorship program. And there's some changes that we are recommending to be done to that bottom part of the program, the mentorship program, to make it look and feel just like the one on the first slide, where we have, first of all, phase 1, and we have phase 2, and where they've got career guidance program, we will have mentorship program. So that's going to be a change. Obviously, we couldn't have it done for today, but that's going to be one change. Next slide, Dave. Now on here is we're talking about having a group of career guidance counselors and a mentorship team. And I don't think I need to read that to you because it's self-evident. And when you see the finished slides, you'll be able to read through it. Slide 4 or slide 5. This is where we're talking about the career guidance program. And we're saying that career guidance is for a wide range of new and exciting career opportunities that will be required to assist Guyana in the growth of new industries now under development. And we have come up with a number of different areas, for the career guidance program. The other thing we have been saying very consistently is whatever is done here for the career guidance program has to be a bottom-up thing. It's not anything that we in North America or in the UK are saying what the kids in Guyana should be looking at. We need to find out from Guyana what are the same 4 or 5 major topics that they need career guidance on. And this is going to be extremely important. I don't think we up here can say, hey guys, this is who you need career guidance on. We've got to get that coming up from them, saying these are the 4 or 5 or 6 different areas that we need some career guidance on. You can go to the next one, Dave. Well, you see here, it says Career Mentorship Program Phase 3. So just let me pause here, because as I said to Dave in an email today, when I was reviewing these slides last night, I realized that we are missing a slide. We are missing the phase 2, because we moved straight from phase 1 to phase 3. And the slide that we're missing as a phase 2 is what will be called the mentorship program phase 2. And what I've done is say, basically, like we say about career guidance, is what mentoring is all about. Because there are a number of areas and a number of people, in my view, and also in Dennis's view, and both of us have been doing mentorship programs for large organizations. A lot of people are not aware of what mentorship is.
Correct.
Mentorship is basically, and this is going to be on this slide, mentoring is a mutually beneficial relationship with a more experienced person helping a less experienced person to identify that individual's achievements and goals. So we've basically said what mentoring is all about. Mentoring is not career guidance. Very plain and simple. Mentorship, very specific. A mutually beneficial relationship with a more experienced person helping a less experienced person to identify their goals and for them what they need to achieve. So that's going to be a slide that we have recommended to Dave that we put in between slide, I think it's slide 5 and this slide 6. And should be called the mentoring program phase 2. And go on to and go on now to the last slide, which I
So that
think
is
is
the last
6,
slide.
which is mentoring program phase 3. That is basically an expansion of what the mentoring program is going to be about. And it's not only going to be for QC, because initially that's who we are aiming the program at. But as we say here, it is for academic and educational institutions in Guyana who will be invited to participate in the knowledge-based initiative. So at phase 2 is going to be the students at Queen's College. And then in phase 3, it's going to be expanded to other academic institutions in Guyana, in Georgetown, in Essequibo, all over the place, as people are interested in it. So that's the interesting that we have as far as our programs, not the programs, as far as our slides are concerned.
Okay, let's stay there for a second. You sent me some wording on this additional slide, correct?
Yeah.
All right, the only thing I had to say about that was you used more experienced person to less experienced. And I was
Yeah.
gonna say that less experience should really be students, not less experienced, you know what I'm saying? Because that
But
could
you
be
see-
adults.
Yeah, but you see, myself and Dennis are looking at mentoring primarily, and maybe we can change that, but we're looking at it primarily for people who are in the workforce and are looking at their objectives. That's what we consider as mentoring people.
Correct. Okay, hold it there a second, Leland, because that's a really important point. Let me tell you why. The CDB is actually doing not really mentoring, but they have programs for people in the workforce and graduates who are entering the workforce. When I spoke to Natasha, who is the CEO for CDB, she was saying, look, we need to reach down now to students and a younger population before they get to this area. So that's where I think KBI should be focused, you know, so we don't want to have a conflict between us and them. Because I have a Zoom call with her for next Friday, and we're going to be discussing just what we were discussing today. So we need to, between now and next Friday, I need to have a fairly good idea that we're deciding, and I know you and Dennis have these really good experiences with mentoring. I only have mentored students, so I don't want it to get muddled up, so to speak, when she says, oh, well, they look like they're doing what we want to do. See what I'm saying? So let's be careful or conscious about how this comes about when we do that missing slide. You get it? But because everything else looks good.
Okay,
That's my only question.
What myself and Dennis can do, maybe over the weekend or something, is just kick around that word and see where we're at and where we're in agreement with.
Right
Any
on.
other comments on
Yeah.
it?
Okay, good stuff, guys. And by the way, Roger had another comment going back. Roger, you want to bring it up? Or you want me to talk about it?
Gosh, which, I don't recall which comment you're referring to.
Okay, let me go back. I'll show you what you said. It was based on slide 2, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go. You'd say, and Dennis produced, just a really good mission statement. Roger had said, it's hard to connect Queen's College students with Queen's College alumni, allowing them, and he questioned the word them. But you don't want to put students in here again, Roger. That's what I was saying.
Right,
Then
yeah.
it's an inferred, it's an implied name. It's the students is them. So I really
Yeah.
wouldn't want to change that. I like this statement. I don't know if anybody has any other comment, but this was a good statement.
Yeah,
Now-
I don't feel too, strongly about it. But
Okay.
it just occurred to me that in a cursory read of the couple lines at the top, Queens College students with the Queens College alumni, allowing them, who does them really refer to? Students or the alumni? So I think you have to think a little bit to be sure it's the,
All right, well, I'm gonna leave it to those two experts.
yeah.
These heavy consultants we're paying a lot of money to, so.
You better believe, boy, and the clock is ticking.
Yeah, they think, I can run out the time, let me tell you. Okay.
I
let
find
me
the
go to something
mentoring,
else.
just my 2 cents, mentoring is a mutual thing. I think the students can still teach the mentors something.
Actually, you got a good point. You
So,
got
so,
a good-
yeah, so the them is a very, you can go either way.
It
You know, let me
does.
tell you something about this. I like what you just said. In my years of experience, when I've been mentoring students, especially in Asia, I'd make a statement and somebody would ask me a question I couldn't answer.
Yeah.
And what I do, I turn it back to the students, says, okay, by tomorrow, you guys come back to me and tell me what this is all about. And I learn. I put
Yeah.
together some really interesting concepts from what I get from 18 and 20-year-old students.
Absolutely.
Like that fact. All right. We're gonna leave that alone to these. people.
Dennis, you've got anything to add?
No, I think you've covered everything.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the pyramid because.
Oh, wait, hold on, buddy. Okay, you want to go to the pyramid now?
No,
Let's
no,
go.
it's your presentation.
right.
now, so you tell me where to
Okay,
go.
oh, I thought
Go ahead.
we had finished with that. With the
Which one now?
pyramid, we're suggesting that we kind of have some consistency. So where we have phase 1 career guidance program, for the next one, we should have phase 2 mentorship program.
Well, isn't that what we have?
No, we got mentorship program first and phase 2 underneath it. We're saying you have phase 1 and in the second one, triangle, we say phase 1 career guidance program. In the third one, we've got mentorship program phase 2. And I'm saying what we need to do is be consistent. Is that we should have phase 2 mentorship program, correct?
All right, I'm gonna mess with that later. I'll see what you're saying. Okay. All right, let's leave that. I agree.
Right.
Okay,
Just in terms of consistency.
got it. Okay, I will change that. That makes sense.
Right.
Anybody got any other input on that? Rod,
No, I'm good. I'm good.
you're okay? All right, Roger. Because
Yeah,
at this
that's-
point, folks, let me tell you this, when this is finished, this is gonna be, help me to write the program and Dennis and Leland to write the document to go with the proposal. So this is really the basis for what we're trying to achieve, okay? And then when these two things are done, then we're gonna go back and look at the website and see that what we're promoting is exciting and is generating interest. According to the website guy, he
He's
said,
down here.
you guys are providing the steak, I'm providing the sizzle, okay? So that's what the website will help to support what we're trying to do, okay? Because this is not gonna be open to everybody. This is gonna be open only to the areas we're trying to promote organization, have partners, all right? And produce the documentation for proposal. All right, anybody else on these slides?
Organization.
How does it look, Rod? I haven't had any input from you for a
No,
while.
I'm looking at it there. Are you using North American language spellings or,
Yes.
or you are?
Well, actually, that's a good point. Hold on. You want it to be English? You know, most of the funding will come from a North American source. I'm just throwing that out.
No.
And the people we're relating to are Guyanese with English background.
That's what I'm thinking.
So
Okay.
is Rod thinking program?
I know, yes. You want the MME? Okay.
You want
I'm a
MME?
North American guy. I'm sorry.
And
Okay.
well, and organization. I think it should be an S.
Instead of disease.
That's right. We use Z's in North America and S's in Europe.
In your,
Yeah.
that's right. All right, well, listen, the wordsmithing at the end will be done in a week, okay? Once we're satisfied that these slides look the way you want to see it, then we make those judgments on how
Yeah,
Z or S or whatever. I agree, it's pretty important. I went back and looked at the word program way back. Everything started out at an M, and then it kind of given a rise to MME from France, a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyway,
Yeah,
all
listen,
right.
look, I can't argue with the missus. She's a doctor of literature, and she just said it. She said, you all got to change it because it's Guyana.
Well, we'll go with the experts. We'll change it.
No, I totally agree,
Yes.
because we're aiming it for students in Guyana.
That's correct. That is correct.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for that. Anything else, you guys? Dennis and Leland, this is your presentation.
No, nothing else, nothing else on the slides. Dennis?
No, I'm saying you have a number of other points. You're
Yeah.
gonna go.
Yeah. Okay. The next point we want to mention, based on what our update, is that work is in progress on both the career guidance and mentorship programs. And we have not finished that because we were waiting for a number of other things. So we've got some work to do that. We have researched a number of placement agencies in Guyana to determine the jobs Guyana is seeking. And this comes back to the point that I made earlier. This should be a bottom-up thing. We shouldn't be telling them what they should be looking at. We should be looking at where they are looking for guidance and help.
Correct.
The other thing that we have found out is there are many training organizations in Guyana that we in North America and the UK are not aware of, many of them. And I'll give you a couple of examples. There's a Guyana Online Academy of Learning, GOAL, Guyana Academy of Learning, and that was launched in 2021. And they are partnered with the University of South California, along with other international universities, to provide programs from certificates to doctorates. There's also the Exxon Mobil Center for Local Business Development. There's also the one that Dave mentioned before, the Center for Business Development. And there's also the Volunteer Youth Corporation, which has been running career guidance programs in Georgetown secondary schools since 2013, and used it as a pilot before expanding to other high schools in 2015, 2016. And what's important here is, what's important here is that the Ministry of Education has approved the program. Okay, so we got to bear that in mind about things that we're doing, that the Ministry of Education is very much involved in education in Guyana. So there should be some sort of a nexus between what we're doing and our organization, also besides the other organizations like the QC chapter, the Board of Governors, the Parent Teachers Association. We've got to be very conscious that the Ministry of Education has to be involved in it. Now, let's talk a bit about that Volunteer Youth Corporation. And just let me pull up something that I had on my computer. One moment. Yeah, okay, because you remember they said that it was going to expand this career guidance, going to expand to other high schools in 2015, 2016. Let me tell you, based on what they have written, is who the other or some of the other high schools that they're doing the career guidance with. And I was really amazed that on this, Queens College is not involved. Here are some of the schools that I think that are equivalent to us. There is St. Joseph's High School. There is St. Rosa's High School. There is some of the other secondary high schools. There's Central High School. And my thing was, how come that they're talking with career guidance with St. Joseph's and with that other high school, Central and St. Rose's, and how come Queens College has not been involved in that? But I leave that to other people.
Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
And I tell you why? Exactly what I have been running into. Some serious headwinds. It's almost like if we're Queens College and we can do our own thing, we don't care what anybody else does. I'm getting some weird connotations when I try to speak to other people. It's like if, oh, so because you're Queens College, you feel you can do anything, so we're not going to worry with you. And let me explain why I say that. I've been trying for 3 weeks now to talk to Bishop's High School about their mentoring program. All I'm getting back is they're questioning our program. They're not telling me anything about what they're doing. And it's like if they're saying, oh, so you guys want to get into this, right? So we're not going to tell you what we're doing. What the hell are you doing? So that is one of the reasons why maybe we were looked on as too much of an elite school or whatever it is. And I'm not sure if that has some political overtones or whatever. But I am now trying to figure out how we can get those different schools to partner with us. Okay, that's why I'm talking to the CBD. As a matter of fact, in number 5, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about some other people now we can connect with. So good thing you brought up, Dennis, and you guys need to do these research so we can bring about what is a groundswell from the bottom up. I agree with it entirely, not the top down.
Yep.
But to get these other schools on side in phase 3, we're going to have a phase 1 and a phase 2 that works for us. You get it?
Exactly.
Now, right. And I want this thing, see this middle here that we just came up with? I spoke to Terence Blackman, and by the way, I'm going to either bring that up later. He is heavy on this mathematics stuff, this applied and pure maths. He seems to be up in the clouds in this sense. And I said to him, Terence, I got to ask you something, mate. I understand about the science and technology and engineering mathematics, but you seem to be only talking about mathematics. What happened to the engineering or the technology? Because that's what's needed in all of these other industries that are going on in Guyana for the next 20 years. Don't overlook that. He's saying, yeah, but it all comes down to maths. I'm like, yes, guy, it does, but it can only start with math because that's the basis. But I didn't learn maths when I learned how to fix an airplane. You get it? That's a whole different scenario. And then how are you going to dig a well? I don't think you need to be a applied science to know calculus now to figure out how to drill a well or how to move the oil. So there's a whole bunch of other disciplines that need to go in. But he's along for the ride. He said, I like what you guys are doing. Let me see how I can get involved in this. Okay. So
Yep.
That's why.
But as you know, the New York chapter, every year, they have got a mathematics program going in Guyana.
That is the brainchild of Terence Blackman. That is his program, in case you didn't know. He's been doing it for 4 years. He was really all signed up about it. He said, let me tell you what I mean, good stuff. And he likes what we're doing, but he's saying it should all be founded on mathematics. And I said, all right, Terence, when you see the stuff we're producing, we will see how it can work. Now, what's interesting.
Yeah, just let me give you an example. And Dave mentioned it about the other schools besides Queens College who are doing this career guidance. They are Dolphin Secondary School, Richard Ishmael Secondary, St. John's College, St. Mary's High School, Tocqueville High School, Tutorial High School. And those are the people who now have gone into this phase from after 2015, 2016. So let me continue along with the other training organizations that are in Guyana that some of us don't even realize that are doing training. The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and other like organizations provide training also. In addition, there are the traditional training institutions that some of us knew and some of us don't, like the GTI, Guyana Technical Institute, Guyana Industrial Training Institute, and Guyana Sugar Corporation Training School. And they've had a training school. Granted, it was more hands-on, more technical, but they've had that since I used to work with bookers. We are also recommending, and before saying that, before going to the next one, you remember we were, especially Dave, and I know he is basically operating like a one-man organization. He needs help. And he mentioned just now about research and how his desk is all cluttered with all stuff. And he can't do it alone. And we recognize this. So what we are suggesting is the organization should institute several teams to assist in the forwarding of the organization. And we came up with a number of teams that we think, based on what we're seeing now, teams that are needed. For example, communications, which would be responsible for newsletter, social media, Facebook, website. And I know that Rod is excellent in these areas. So that's one team that we're talking about. Another team is the career guidance and mentorship, which myself and Dennis are doing. There is a finance team that Roger at the moment is heading. There's a bylaws and constitution. I don't know what they call it in the States, because all of this is going to be related to getting, that certificate for your income tax. Whether they call it bylaws or they call it constitution. But this is another team that we need to establish. And we also recommending a team, and we call it IT relationships. And this is going to be IT relationships with QC and other local internet organizations. And the next team we're suggesting is that there should be a team for marketing, because this is going to be heavy in terms of what we're doing. So there should be a marketing team. And we've also suggested that Dave can appoint team leads for the various teams based on his knowledge of individual skill sets and other individuals who should go on to the team. So that's what we're suggesting to help the organization in a go-forward basis. Dave cannot do this on his own. He needs people to do it. And I don't think it is structured to have these teams working with a team lead for each one of these to do the work to help Dave. One of the things we also looked at, and we still haven't been able to answer the question, is what is UG doing in terms of mentoring their students in the various academic areas? I am sure they are also doing mentoring, but we have not been able at this point in time to find out what is UG doing in terms of mentoring. And this is again another question of cross-pollination. We don't need to be jumping into the shoes with somebody who's also doing something else. So that's basically what we have been doing for the last few weeks, and we still have more work to do. Okay, any questions?
Well, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful, and I appreciate what you guys have done. And I want to tell you, I'll respond before anybody else can get involved in this. Yes, I definitely, as a matter of fact, that was one of my things on the number 5. I definitely need the help. But you guys had made a good point in our last conversation some time ago about not getting too many other inputs, okay? Before we can, because then you're going to get all taken out of context or whatever. But you got a point. We need more help. I just don't know who to task at this point because outside of this group right now, I'm getting very spotty input. And just to give you an example, I don't want to mention names at this point, but my boys in South Florida are non-existent. And they're the ones that actually said to me, I like your program. Why don't you get it started? But that's where it stopped. Yes, I got it started, and that's up to me. And Rod is the only other person, but we have Carrie as well. But that's where Carrie is now trying to do business in Guyana. So he's not giving me 100%, but what he does is he gives me some really good input. Okay, so you can't just dismiss it out of hand in that sense, because we both know that he has other motives in mind. Okay, but that's fine. But he's meeting, just to let you know, he's meeting with the headmistress on Wednesday morning. He's going to be in Guyana on Tuesday. He has a 2:00 meeting with Candace Stevens. First person that was able to do that in 3.5 months. Okay.
Well, hold on. How come the head of ICQC can't meet with the headmistress and he can?
I told you that already. When she was there, she was ignored because there was a change in administration and Pauline Chetz was involved and said to her, because she asked her, well, we should all get together. The three of us should get together. I think that was the correct way of doing it because it was a OSA, QC OSA, and all of a sudden it was it. Pauline just said, Stacey, never mind, just send the money and we'll do the programs. That's where the thing fell down. We're now approaching it from GAN and KBI, direct to the headmistress. Try to leave the associations and ICQC out of it for now. Remember, we just need to stay independent until we have a program that we can then encourage integration. And actually, I got that from Terrence Blackman. He said the word inclusive is what we need to be. Well, we can't be inclusive if people don't want to come to the table. You get it? So we need the people who can connect. And that's going to be me on the number 5. We need people. So your point is well taken, but we need people in Guyana.
Yeah. So do you have any idea how Carrie is going to be speaking with the headmistress on?
We're just trying to reconnect. I'm sorry to say that I can't put words in his mouth in that sense. But the fact remains that at least he has a meeting with her and he's going to look to try and get this proof of concept with a smart room involved. Because one of the things I'm going to discuss on the section 5 is to put together a smart room, not a classroom now. It may well be a classroom, but we're not calling it a classroom for a very specific reason. It's an IT function room, also known as a smart room, where it will be set up to have presentations and two-way communication on the internet. That's what he's going to be talking about. All right. Now, I can't tell you what else he's going to say because, when you get into a meeting with this person, I have no idea who Candace Stevens is. Other than she's the new headmistress.
Yeah, no, I thought he may have had that discussion with you before meeting with her, so as to get some ideas from you. I thought so.
Well, I've given him my ideas, and that's where the proof of we're trying to keep it down to a narrow communication scenario. But I told him I want you to feel her out to see if she is willing to meet with anybody else from our organization. Because when you and Dennis have talked about this thing initially about having a presentation done at the school, maybe in October, I thought it was a good idea. Maybe 3 or 4 of us should be able to make some inroad, but we need somebody to prep the way, in other words. That's all I can tell you at this point, and that's going back to what you just said. I like the idea of having these different teams. I'm going to ask you now the question, where they're going to come from. That's
yeah, I suppose they can come from people who you have been in contact with. For instance, there were 2 people from Toronto who were interested in coming on to one of the teams, coming on to the organization. There are people from London with Rod. At least there are 2 people, at least he has been talking with about coming on to the team. I'm sure there are other people in New York who can come on to the team, because there are people you have been talking with and people who have said to you, look, God, we would like to come on. So what we need to do now is to say, okay, you're on. This is where you're on. You know, this is what you're going to work at. Let's have a discussion on how it is going to go and what the goals are going to be. So that's how we got to do this pull-push situation there. You've got Roger in Florida. He has already started some work on the finance thing. He can be a team lead on the finance. And he's got some other people in Florida, very good friends of mine. And you know who I'm
You must
talking
be
about.
joking. I hope you smile when you say that.
I don't even have to say who, but there are 2 or 3 people in Florida who are excellent people to get onto one of these teams. Yes,
Being serious. I hope you're not being serious. That's a sarcastic remark. I take it.
it is. No, but there are other people who may not be in a chapter in South Florida, but
Actually,
who are,
that's
for
what I'm
instance,
looking for.
yeah,
That's
for
the
instance,
person or the people we're looking for. Seriously.
for instance, there may be accountants, accountants who are not a member of the chapter, but maybe an alumni, or in fact, maybe from other schools, maybe from Saints, or maybe from somewhere, who, when the program is being sold to them, they would say, hey, I would like to be on this. But that's what we need. We need an accountant, especially for Roger's team. And I'm assuming that Roger is going to be the team lead on finance.
Well, for the time being, I don't know much about finance, but for the time being, yes.
Yeah,
No,
but that's what we need.
Yeah. For the development process, we do need a team lead to get that done. So he's going to take care of the bank account stuff and all the possible things. We're not going to be doing a lot of stuff from this before the proposal is finished. But we do need people to help us with the groundwork. Now, one of the things that, Leland, I'm going to talk about, even though we're not at stage 5 yet,
Right.
is we need, even though you word desperately, we need help from Guyana right now in 2 ways. We need the people, and then we need the information about what's needed. You talk about a pyramid. So those 2 things are critical, okay? And that, under section 5, I'm going to talk about some people, and that's where we're going to start looking at. Now, in London, I had asked Rod to see if Mark Dalgetty would be a type of person that might be able to help us.
Yeah, Mark is on board for whenever we're ready to go. He's
Right.
there.
Do you think he'd be able to give us some help with planning and organizing and stuff like what we're doing?
If we ask him, certainly, yes.
All right. What about Bruce? Is
Bruce too, but Bruce always says, "But I'm old school. I don't."
Well, we're all old school. What the hell is that?
So,
We're all old school.
Yeah, he just puts that caveat in. But yes, Bruce is there as well.
All right, because what we need now are people to actually take some responsibility for this piece of the pie that Leland is just bringing up. That's where I'm having the issue. I need to divest myself of some of this.
Exactly.
Right. I want to say that right now, I would like to nominate Rod to be my team lead with the communications, Facebook, and website, because that has started on, and I'm there, but Rod is the man who can help me put this together, because his connection with the school is also vital. When we start putting this website together, Rod's historical piece is going to be on the website. There's going to be a part where the curriculum for Queen's College is going to show up on our website. It's not going to show up in any association yet, maybe in the UK, but we will have that because Rod is part of the group. So if we can reach out, either one of us, and have 1 or 2 other people, I mean, I've talked to a bunch.
I don't know if you guys are aware that I was tasked with putting together the historical curriculum of Queen's College for the school. So I've been working on that project. Plus, for the celebration of our 180th anniversary, I'm putting together a virtual display of Queen's College historical facts. and this will become, it would be like a tabletop display where you touch and information will come up. But
He's living there.
And we're going to be having that on the website, Rod.
Yeah.
That will be part of the website, yes.
Right?
Either the top, the website designer is telling me, Dave, don't put too much stuff at the top
Right.
to take away from the interest. He's saying, let people go through the website and there's specific sections where they can then click on something to get more information. But I feel the historical part needs to be up at the top. You get it? So you and I will definitely to look at that. I'm going to send you the link for
Yeah.
this, the website, so that you and I and RJ, who is the designer, will be able to talk about it as we go along. Okay.
okay,
You can send me some input. And then at our monthly meeting, maybe we'll show the guys the update on the website. Because as Leland has said, which is correct, the career guides and mentorship is the major portion of this whole plan. That needs to be worked on
No, John,
dedicatingly for the next couple of months, okay? It's got to be very tight and very organized program. we need-
Incident, could I just stop you for a quick sec?
Hmm.
Because we were talking about the website and that kind of thing. I was at a seminar not too long ago talking about websites and about PowerPoint presentations and that kind of thing. And what came out very, very strong from the presenter and the lecturer was that even in terms of doing PowerPoint presentations and even on websites, you shouldn't have to have more than 2 clicks to get the message that you wanted. For example, Dennis would tell you that on some of the websites that he has looked at, you've had to get 5 clicks to get to the full message. So this is just something I'm just throwing out to you, Dave, when you're talking to your website developer. This is something that we have heard, is that no more, or even PowerPoint presentations, you shouldn't have more than 2 clicks to get to what the main topic is.
Okay,
Just as a matter of information.
Yes, maybe we went to the same seminar, because I went to one not too long ago either, but I want to tell you something. That scenario about 2 clicks is usually to get them to not only see a message, but then to take action. This is an informational website as opposed to a marketing website, okay? Now, we're trying to serve 2 purposes, but you have a point. That's why he's saying to me, don't have too much stuff up there. Have the website to be a flowing, interesting promotion, you get it? So it's a promotional website we're looking at, as well as information.
Yeah.
Now, when we get to the point and somebody says, oh, according to Dennis, I want to be a mentor, what do? You just go to mentorship and you have a whole new process now. You put in a name, decide what you want to do. So you can't have 2 clicks only on a website like this, where we're asking people not only know to become part of the network, but also to become a mentor, okay? So your point is well taken. And that's why we're going to try to have some videos input to keep people's interest. Because that's the thing. If people don't see something interesting, they immediately click away, okay, or close your website.
Because you remember the first, before this last one that we've got on the screen, the ones that we had before you get to find out what the entire thing is, you had about 4 or 5 clicks on a particular slide.
Okay.
And what used to happen with me, when I get to the 3rd click, I figured that that's the entire slide. And my hand just go, I had to do another 3rd one, and then you had to do another 4th, and then you had to do another 5th before you get exactly the entire message that was on that slide. And I think that is a non-starter.
Okay, agreed. Now you got to remember something. When I did that slide, I had not had the input from you guys. So I put in transitions and animations, which I should not have done because I had to come to you guys. When you finally have a slideshow, it will run automatically. You get it? You hit one slide, you click, and the thing runs continuously. It's called a presenter scenario, not the way that I did it for a slideshow. Because if you're presenting it, if you remember my book signing in Toronto a couple of years ago, I advanced the slides. Get it? I didn't allow it to run continuously because I was also speaking. So a slideshow will serve many purposes, and it just depends how you present it. You get it? As a matter of fact, Dennis,
It's not also the website, but it's also the PowerPoint
no,
presentation.
I'm talking about the PowerPoint. I'm talking to PowerPoint. I'm not talking to presentation.
Oh,
I'm not about the website. I'm talking to PowerPoint.
right.
PowerPoint can be saved in different types of versions and presented as a keynote speaker, as an automatic presenter, as a tabletop function, continuously. You get it? You don't have to click anything, but it's how it's saved. But I had saved it as a slideshow because I wanted to look at the animations. So that's my fault. The website is a whole different kettle of fish. Okay. And that is for social media application. You got to remember something. Young people are looking at social media today, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, whatever. That's what that is going to be aimed at. This that we're looking at here, the slide presentation, is strictly for the proposal for a different audience. Okay. And you're right. When I did this, I was trying to combine everything. Impossible. Okay. So we're now trying to fine tune this particular scenario. Leave the website for down the road. It's probably be 4 or 6 weeks before we come back to that. Okay. And it depends on the written part of the KBI, which is what you and Dennis are going to be working on. So I'm assuming that you and Dennis, who's the lead here? His lordship?
We're co-leaders.
Co-leaders. I love it. Look at this. Co-leaders. All right. Cool. I like your process because it has gotten to be way too front end loaded in a sense where I have to make all the connections. Okay, I'm glad to do it, but once I made a connection, now I need follow up. And I've already got 3 emails and a Zoom call next Friday that I haven't even prepared for yet. Okay, so I have to do some more research. Now, based on what you mentioned as well, we need to decide, not today necessarily, but maybe when we're done over the weekend, just let's circulate a couple of names. I remember I told you guys in Toronto about Angela Thomas. Now, I don't know Angela Thomas very well, but maybe because she's in Toronto, Dennis and Leland, you guys can find out, talk to her some more and see if she is interested, because she told me that she was, as a matter of fact, she was on the New York meeting once, which was also in the Toronto chapter. She's still in Toronto. So find out where she can be best utilized. Not so much in what you guys are doing, but maybe she can be team marketing maybe or something, because she's doing mentoring somewhere in Africa now. So
but the problem is we don't know what kind of mentoring she's doing.
well,
We don't know who she's doing mentoring for.
I agree.
We don't know the number of hours she's using for mentoring. We don't even know which country she's doing mentoring.
Dylan, that's why I'm asking you. You guys get a hold of her and find out. She's in the Toronto chapter. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, I'm going to put the 3 of you together. I'm going to introduce you guys and say, hey.
No, you don't have to introduce me. I know her.
Okay. Well, you take that on, please, for me, because that's one of the things that been hanging fire. I was going to try and invite her to this meeting, but based on your input last week, I said, you're right. Let's keep it tight until we know what's happening.
Correct. Yeah.
But if she agrees to be on part of this program, I'd like to see 6 or 8 people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can tell her what some of the teams that we're looking at in joining. Very well be marketing.
Good.
Because I
Okay.
think she may even be doing some marketing with some other organization in Toronto. So she may be interested there.
Now, let me give you an example of that. The minute I start reaching out to 1 or 2 people, I find all of a sudden that person has a connection with somebody else. You get it? So it does kind of open up some doors. And that's how, as a matter of fact, I found Mark Kirsting this morning. Now, I'd suggest, as I told Dennis just now, you guys look up Fareed Amin. He has this, not only this operation in Canada, but he has a company in Georgetown, and he has a female lawyer, and you should see her background. So I don't know, maybe, and I asked Harry now, and I will ask Fareed, because now I have his email, I'm going to say, is there a conflict because he's suggesting that there are other people in Guyana who may be able to help us. Okay? And he said, just be careful you don't have any conflict. I think he was talking political more than anything else. So these are areas we have to be cognizant of when we reach out to people. But I'm saying to you, all of you know, we need connections in Guyana. Rod, you
Yeah.
want to see to get hold of George Melville, remember, for the INET?
Yes, and
Right,
also,
and then talk to Bruce and Mark, and just what Leland is saying. We need some
and
help now to
you
start
remember I
putting
said
this
I'll
together.
speak to Dr. Muhammad as well at UG.
All right. So when we finish in the next couple of days with this, finalizing this 5 or 6 slides, we need to put in that new one that Leland is bringing up. Once that's done, then we need to circulate that to this small group. Okay, so everybody can understand what we're trying to promote. You get it?
Yeah.
And then the KBI will take some time. I agree. Dennis, I owe you some information on that next week. And,
Okay,
I'll send you as much as I can next week. Okay. And then
okay.
you guys run with that.
Mhm.
Okay, but we actually went through the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
any other questions on the agenda so far? Or updates?
Dave, are you going to, is it you who is going to do that other slide with the phase 2?
Oh, yes, I'm gonna do it, of course.
Okay, what I had suggested, I didn't mention it here,
Yeah,
we need some graphics on that slide with like a mentor talking with people in a office setting or a school setting or wherever. But we
correct.
need to
Okay,
put some graphics on it. So I'm leaving
problem.
that to you.
I agree, not a problem. Yep. Okay, anything else?
No, not from us. Dennis, anything from you?
no, I think you
Okay.
covered everything.
All right, so let me move on to 5, because we got another 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
Mm.
Gonna learn. Okay, at our meeting with Exxon, he brought up a couple of names and I made a couple of my own. I'm gonna just bring them up now in case anybody knows these names. Patricia Backus was mentioned, who is the CEO of Caribbean Containers. Now, I haven't checked her out. Dennis, I was wondering if you could just do a little bit of digging for her.
Who is
Patricia
this?
Backus, Bacchus.
What was the first name?
Patricia.
Oh, okay.
And
Your
who does
sister's
and
name.
who is she with?
Well, she's in Guyana. She's Caribbean Containers. She's on the West Coast.
What was the name of her company?
Caribbean Containers.
Containers. She's the CEO, isn't she?
Yes, she's the CEO.
Mm.
And Farid is saying you need women of high reputation and very good community spirit to be part of this local operation in Guyana. So that's what we're looking at.
Dave,
I'm all
what was the name ahead of containers?
Caribbean.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I got
All
it.
right. I'm looking at Elizabeth Allen, who's the CEO of Arana, ARANA Management Systems. Now, Elizabeth Allen, I got in contact with because she was the CEO for the Bank of Guyana, or the president of the Bank of Guyana way back. But she also had some high-level positions in the country. All right. Not in government. This is what's nice about that. So I'm checking her out and I'll report to you back on that probably in a week. I'm also having a discussion with Natasha Gaskin next Friday. But for some reason, Farid asked us to be conscious of a conflict, and I'm not sure whether it's political or not. I will check that out. Okay. Dennis, I'd like you to look now also at the Women's Chamber of Commerce in Guyana. Apparently, there's a bunch of really dynamic women in this organization. And the problem I had is the minute I tried to make contact with them, all they wanted to do was to get me to become a member and to charge me $2,500. So I didn't go any further with that, but see if you can find out about them. Dennis, you also need to check out CGX, Charlie Golf X-Ray. It's a local oil and gas company, and the CEO is Suresh Narayan, who is a Queen's College alumnus. Okay. Now, CGX, according to Farid, is another company we should be looking at for what they call CSR funding, okay?
There's another Guyanese with CGX. Can't remember his name. Dookie.
Dookie,
Idris Duki.
Yeah, Dookie used to be, I presume he still is, with CGX. And in fact,
Let's
he
make
may
a
have
note of that.
even started CGX.
you're kidding. What's his last name?
Dookie is the last name, I think.
His,
Yeah.
Yes, his first name is Idris.
Yes, Idris Dookie.
Okay, can you check that out, Dennis? Yeah.
Okay.
Because my sources of funding is not going to come from Guyana.
I believe he's a good friend of Carrie, you know. He and
Oh, is
Carrie.
that
are good
right?
friends.
Mhm.
Oh, good. Well, what I'm going to be doing when the proposal is finished, hopefully I'm not making my main focus the oil and gas industry in Guyana for funding. I'm going after educational, or I should say funding and grant organizations that fund education for young people. That's where I'm headed with this. So it's going to be the one proposal, but it'll go to different organizations, okay? One in Guyana and one focused everywhere else, all right? But we do need, and I'm now going to ask Dennis if Kathy Hughes' husband, he's a high-powered
Nigel.
lawyer in Guyana. Apparently
Nigel is the,
he's got quite a reputation. Is
Oh,
there any
we
way we
wanted
could
to
find out
ask-
whether he's politically connected or he's?
Pardon?
We wanted to ask Kathy who is Hughes?
Well, I've already talked to Kathy, but I'm talking about getting Nigel involved in GAN. You know, as part of our organization, local, as a lawyer. What do you think?
Oh, excellent. Excellent choice, I think.
Well, he's a very-
Especially being an alumnus.
That's right, yes.
Mhm.
All right,
He's a high profile criminal attorney. as well.
exactly, and that's what
Yeah.
Fareed had said. We
Yeah.
need a couple of
That's
high-profile
right.
people in Guyana.
Mhm.
Now, if we can also get Marcel Gaskin, who is the president of the board of QC, to be to be alongside of us, and I've been waiting now for 2 weeks to have a Zoom call with this guy, Marcel. That's the one area I'm spending a lot of time on getting very little traction. You know, trying to talk to people down there. It's takes a lot of time away from what I'm trying to write. All right, I'll try to get hold of Nigel because now we're going to obviously need to form a subsidiary in Guyana, even in name only. Okay. Now, if this lady, Elizabeth Allen, after our call next week, she's interested in joining us, then she could probably be our bank, treasurer in Guyana. Okay. You need to look up, if you guys are interested, Dennis, look up Arana, ARANA Services. ARANA Management Services, sorry. And she's got quite a background as well. But if we have a few other females, and I'm not saying all females now, but at least we need, and if we get Nigel, I'm going to talk to Kathy on Monday and see if I can encourage her to give me Nigel as our main guy in Guyana. He has a very good high profile.
That would be excellent.
Now, Rod, if you remember, Fareed mentioned, he said, every time I look at one of these proposals, it's all a bunch of old men.
Yeah.
So should we have a woman at the head? Wouldn't that be politically correctness? What do you think? Or it doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't really matter. I
Doesn't?
think let her join the board.
Because of course you need 5 board members to have a properly formed board. 3 women, 2 guys.
All right. Well, okay.
You didn't seem to have a comment on that one.
No, my wife in the background is saying, well, if you want it to look good, you have a woman in the head.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That is exactly where I'm coming from, guys. Let me tell you, if you look at my LinkedIn page, you'll see I have a whole deal about women in aviation. Women are overlooked in every facet of every damn business in this world.
Well, that
Okay?
needs.
Sadly to say, sad,
Okay.
very sad.
Okay. All right.
The
You go
women
on.
that I have worked with in every organization, in 6 countries I've lived in, have outpaced men in just about every avenue. They have more detail, attention to detail. They're more, let's not get into that because I don't. I just value a female side of being getting an opinion on just about anything.
Well, yes, certainly, and we all acknowledge that there are more young ladies at Queen's College today
Well,
than
that's
there are
another one.
than
There's
there
another
are
one. Now, I
males.
unfortunately have a little bit of a negative with Stacey Campbell Berrigan, our president of ICQC and QC Toronto. She is bogged down, which I'm worried that Carrie will have the same issue when they start doing business in Guyana. They both have these mega projects they're looking at. And when you get, as a matter of fact, Carrie's going to be in Guyana now for the next month and in Suriname for 2 weeks. Well, I don't know how much time he has after he meets with Candace Stephen now to look after my e-network investigation, to figure out who's going to be supplying computers, all of that stuff for the smart room. I mean, we need this kind of help down there. So maybe when we find either Patricia Backus, actually, Dennis, when you look at Elizabeth Allen's, it's her corporate, not really website, but yeah, it's a corporate site. It's not that great, but it lists a whole bunch of services. Okay. So it's kind of interesting. And I'll be having a personal discussion with her next week. We'll see how that comes up. And I'm going to invite her to join the team. See what she said. All right.
Good.
I got, let me see. I don't think I have anything else on this. No. Yeah, I think I've shot my bolt for the week for the meeting. Anybody else got anything else before we close?
I don't think so. Myself and Dennis will continue doing what we're doing. But again, I don't know whether you may be able to help us, but what are the 5 or 6 major programs that are needed in Guyana? I can't find that on any website.
What does that mean? Tell me what you mean by that.
In terms of career guidance, what?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, from a career guidance point of view, I
Well,
can't find
anything. Let me answer that question in particular. You have to remember something. This word academic is not in my background. Okay. From the time I left Queens, I was a technical guy all my life. And all I'm hearing from everybody I'm talking to, including Terrence Blackman and a whole bunch of other people, is all about academics and certificates. And I'm not saying they're not necessary, but they're forgetting the other part of it. When you're going to have a whole oil production, and by the way, Stanley Ming has mentioned there's about 30 different industries behind the oil companies. Okay, where it's going to require all kinds of technical people and commercial and industry people and engineers and surveyors, but not to do with just some certificate. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of list of technical stuff that's needed. So that's why you're not going to find it on any career guidance, because they don't know how to guide it. I have found nobody else in my aviation knowledge who's mentoring people in aviation. That's why I did such good stuff overseas, because there's nobody else doing it. I have 70 slides, mate, both in Chinese and in English, that I've had very good success with overseas. All right, because there is nobody doing that. All right, and I got to tell you, when I wanted to join the airlines in the 60s, they were saying, "Oh yes, you had to have a bachelor's or a master's degree." Well, you know something? They know pilot that I know had a master's or technical degree. I mean, a master's or a business degree. In the 60s, they don't hire those people.
Yeah, but now that's required. It's a given now.
And you know
with
something? I'll tell you why that's also a big problem. Let me tell you why that's a big problem. Because all the people now with all these fancy degrees can't fly a freaking airplane. That's why these crashes have come about. You have to know how to fly an airplane before you know how to learn to do it. Let me tell you. But everybody now is relying on computers. But anyway, that's a discussion for another time. This whole Max 8 story, I have a complete history on it. I'll tell you something. You know why nobody ever crashed in North America? Because we had programs. When you bought a Max 8 from Boeing in North America, you had to have training, okay, in the simulator for so many hours. Not required overseas, not in Indonesia or anywhere else. That's why those crashes happen. Okay,
Dave, just in conclusion, the entire paradigm of career choices has changed since we were at QC. I chose to go into hospitality. I was one of the few people that did that. And I had a wonderful career. I've met some great people, and I'm presenting at national conferences about hospitality. And when the president was in London the other day, the focus on tourism is going to be so great in Guyana now, and
That's right.
hydroponics and all sorts of things that will sustain us into a green economy.
Thanks for that, Rod. Now, what's interesting is when I looked at Michael Kirsting's son, who is Mark Kirsting, who runs his computer company in Guyana, guess what? He has a green a climate change email. And when I asked him, how come you have that? He said, because I'm committed to climate change as well. Can you imagine that?
There you go. There
Oh,
you
yeah,
go.
a young guy, good looking guy. So the reason we're not seeing this kind of stuff there, it ain't there yet. Okay.
But it's getting there.
It's getting there.
All right.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Let me keep it to our hour and 30. Thank you very much, Rod.
You're
Excellent.
welcome. I'll stop recording now.
Yeah.
Great meeting.